Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Saturday evening, November 11, 2023. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video, share it, subscribe and tap the notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. Feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section letting me know what the weather has been like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so let us take a look at what the U.S. National Hurricane Center is showing on their 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook. We can see that that area that had a 20 to 30% chance of cyclone formation now has a 40% chance, so it's now designated a code orange. According to the Hurricane Center, a broad air flow pressure is forecast to form in the southwestern Caribbean Sea around the middle of next week. Thereafter, environmental conditions appear conducive for gradual development, and a tropical depression could form late next week as the system drifts northeastward in the Caribbean Sea. So we can see that it has a 0% chance of formation within the next 2 days and a 40% chance of formation within the next 7 days. So in the previous videos we would have noted the information from the Hurricane Center stating that the system would have possibly been meandering, meaning that it won't be moving much across the southwestern Caribbean. Now they have stated that it's going to be moving towards the northeast, which is something similar that we've been seeing on the models. Let's take a look at what the Euro model is showing first, and we're looking for all of the greens that represent moisture across the Caribbean. And for our information, Jamaica is right here. So let us move ahead to about the next 7 days. That's the next 168 hours, so keep your eye on it right here as well at the top. So now we're moving out in time and we're starting to see the numerous troughs across the Caribbean starting to pile up across the southern and western portions of the basin, getting a bit more moist, some darker shades of green, some yellows in there, and then we have some kind of contour line that represents an air flow pressure, and we have that L that represents the center of circulation. Then look what happens. By the end of this 7 days, the system is trying to develop maybe a tropical depression or whatever the case may be to the south of Jamaica, and we also see that majority of the moisture is being pulled towards the east across sections of Hispaniola and Puerto Rico, maybe even sections of the eastern Caribbean. But we're not going to be looking at what it does after the next 7 days. What does the GFS show? Well, first we're going to be looking at the 12Z GFS that came out at midday today. We're just going to be taking a look at what the consensus is. So we see, yes, we have a lot of buildup of moisture across the southern and western Caribbean. That's by the 90th hour. Then skipping ahead to about the 144-hour mark, so we see that the GFS is a bit faster because this is where the Euro has the system by 168 hours by 7 a.m. on Saturday, south of Jamaica. Look where the GFS has it by 7 a.m. on a Friday, a bit around the same era. So we do see that the GFS is a bit faster and even more intense. Look at all of those contour lines. That's definitely a strong tropical storm, if not a low-end hurricane on the scale, if I'm not mistaken. Then by the next 168 hours, that's on the 12Z, the system seems to be making landfall into sections of Hispaniola, maybe Haiti. What does the 18Z GFS model show? That's the model that just came out an hour ago at 6 p.m. Let us see if there is any difference. So we see all of the moisture, yellows, reds that represent some deep convection, greens as well. This is by 7 a.m. on Thursday. Look at where all of the moisture and heavy rainfall is across sections of Jamaica. This is valid for Thursday morning, Friday morning now, And look at where the L that represents the area of low pressure is located. 7 a.m. on Friday. Right there of the southeastern coast of Cuba to the northwest of Haiti. And look at that, even multiple vortices of low pressure. One area of low pressure right here across the southern Bahamas, another right there to the south of Jamaica. What is really going to be happening with this system? 168 hours. Now we have another area of low pressure hitting Haiti and the Dominican Republic. Excuse me. So yes, we definitely see that there is some amount of disagreement still with the models, and we see that the GFS model is still going bonkers, showing something different with each and every run. So that was just the 12Z model. Then the 18Z model. What does the 0Z model for tonight into tomorrow show? As well as the 6Z model for 6 a.m. We might just discuss it in an early morning video for Sunday regarding this system. Either way, we need to pay close attention to what exactly unfolds. We know whatever these models show are not necessarily set in stone, and we have to look for consensus. We have to look at what both the Euro model and the GFS models are showing for the same time period. And look at this. This is 168 hours on the Euro. This is 168 hours on the GFS. Look at the contrast in where the system is located. Low pressure to the south of Jamaica, low pressure across Haiti and Dominican Republic. So we have to pay close attention to see exactly what unfolds. When we have disagreement like this, we're not really certain of what's going to happen, so we have to stay updated, especially as we close into that time period next week. Alright, so let's just take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening. We can see that we still have an area of high pressure across the northern section of the North Atlantic, that's sending all of that easterly trade wind across the main development region into the Caribbean. We can see numerous troughs right there across the eastern Caribbean, another trough of the east coast of Florida, and another trough to the north of the Caribbean. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can see the clouds associated with that trough of the east coast of Florida, the other few patches of clouds associated with that other trough to the north of Haiti and Dominican Republic, and the other trough affecting portions of the Windward Islands with some amount of cloud showers and thunderstorms right now. We'll be talking more about the Caribbean's weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today. It was stated that Saturday would be quite wet across eastern Jamaica, and central and western Jamaica would pick up on some of that afternoon rainfall. And when we're talking about eastern parishes in Jamaica, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, so Kingston, St. Andrew, Portland, St. Thomas. When we're talking about central parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Middlesex, so St. Anne, St. Mary, St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester. And when we're talking about western parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, so St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, and Trelawney. And what ended up happening? A post was made at 3:51 p.m. highlighting the visible satellite images showing clouds bringing some amount of isolated showers to sections of some eastern, central, and western parishes. So definitely Portland got some amount of clouds bringing isolated showers. Then we had a squall line come right into sections of St. Thomas during the evening hours as well. And we saw that majority of the rainfall was situated across southern parishes in Jamaica, so definitely sections of St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Clarendon, Northern St. Catherine, and all of that had to do with the upper level winds that we spoke about yesterday. Upper level winds are very important. Wind direction has a lot to do. Wind direction, wind speed has a lot to do with the weather. So the low level flow coming in from the east, then the upper level winds blowing those high cold cloud tops off towards the south, bringing more and west overcast skies and showers to sections of some southern parishes. So it was definitely eastern, central, and western parishes, but more and west some southern parishes in Jamaica. So definitely a section of Hanover, Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine, and St. Thomas got in on some of that rainfall. And we even have confirmation from one of our followers on our Instagram page Cam Venice, stating, yes, rain in Westmoreland right now. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before the sun went down, we can see where that squall line of showers and thunderstorms was headed towards sections of St. Thomas during the late evening hours, and we still had some amount of convection still off the west coast of Jamaica. If we take a look at the current satellite images, the infrared satellite images at that, we can see where we indeed had some amount of thunderstorm activity as indicated by those high cold cloud tops, those blues, greens, yellows, oranges and reds, not to mention the sparkling white dots that indicate lightning flashes if not lightning strikes. So we did indeed have some amount of thunderstorm activity across sections of Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth and especially in Westmoreland. And we can see some of that weather still coming into sections of St. Thomas as we speak. Definitely gonna be a wet night across that parish tonight if it isn't already happening. Taking a look at the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology's accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours. This does indeed paint a picture of where we had the rainfall, even although it's a bit robust with the amount of rainfall that has fallen. Definitely a section of some eastern parishes as well as some central and western parishes, mainly across the southern portions for the afternoon. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, we can say we have 27 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 26 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and by about 3 a.m. on Sunday, temperature should dip down to about 26 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 23 degrees Celsius in Kingston. As it relates to the temperature forecast for tomorrow, we can see Jamaica embedded in some orange colors that represent even up to 3 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures. And this is valid for 18th on Sunday, and we calculate that that's about 1 p.m. on Sunday. So 3 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures for Jamaica. And we know the normal temperatures for the month of November is about 88 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's about the same as 30 degrees Celsius. So we should be receiving anywhere from 30 to 33 degrees Celsius for Jamaica's temperature for Sunday. Taking a look at the dry air map, we can see that Jamaica is still embedded in a lot of blues that represent moist air. We see the key at the bottom. Yellows represent the low end of the dry air scale. Then the oranges, reds and whites within those reds. And we see that majority of the dry air is right there to the north of the Caribbean, as well as the northern section of the main development region, not to mention right there off the northwestern coast of Africa. As it relates to the Sahara dust forecast, we can see that for 2 p.m. on Sunday, majority of Jamaica and the Caribbean should be in the clear, with all of the dust associated with the Sahara Desert across the main development region and Africa as indicated by those brown colors. As it relates to the wave forecast, we can still see much of the same. The north and the western portion of the island should be getting anywhere from 1 to 1.5 meter wave heights, while it's the southern portion of the island and the east that's going to be getting around those purples and pinks that represent 2 meter wave heights, even 3 or 4 meter wave heights. And that's due to the fact that the winds are going to be strongest off the south and eastern side of the island, where we see those yellows that represent 25 knot winds or more, while the north coast should be averaging anywhere from 10 to 20 knots at most. And we see all of this air coming in from the east, and all of this is going to be piling up across wherever we see those blues. So definitely a section of some western parishes in Jamaica, that's where we could see that afternoon convection building up. Excuse me. So definitely some afternoon convection in store for sections of western parishes. If we're going to be getting rain, it's going to be coming in from the sea across the eastern portion of the island, and we know how that goes. It's usually during the night time. Taking a look at the wind shear map, we can see that the upper level flow is still having those upper level winds coming in from the north for the most part for 18D, which is actually 1 p.m. on Sunday, which means that whatever rainfall that we get, the clouds are going to be blown off towards the south, bringing more in the way of rainfall for section of some southern parishes. Taking a look at the rainfall forecast now, we can see that both the Euro and the GFS are showing 3 a.m. on Sunday. And we do see the blues. We're looking for consensus. We see the blues that represent rainfall. Where do we see it on both maps? We see it across sections of some northeast and eastern parishes. So maybe sections of St. Anne, section of St. Mary and Portland, sorry, not St. Anne, as well as section of St. Thomas as well. So we see that on both the Euro and the GFS models, and we're looking for certainty, we're looking for consensus, and we do see the consensus, especially across the east. Skipping ahead to about the other significant hour where we're seeing more and more rainfall, we do see that blue that represents rainfall across western Jamaica. So definitely southern St. James, southwest Trelawney, northern St. Elizabeth, section of Hanover, Westmoreland. Definitely western parishes are going to be getting in on that afternoon convection at 3 p.m. on Sunday. Euro showing something similar with the blues, but we're starting to see more blues across eastern and central parishes, and we don't see that on the GFS model. So we're more inclined to believe that yes, it's going to be across western Jamaica, because both maps are showing blues across western Jamaica that represent rainfall. So we'll see exactly what unfolds, which map wins. I think that the GFS will definitely be winning this one. As relates to the accumulated precipitation forecast, we do see that yes, we're going to be receiving some measurable amount of rainfall across Jamaica for Sunday. Keep in mind that both maps are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now until 10 p.m. on Sunday, and we do see that the Euro is a bit more robust with the rainfall across eastern Jamaica, up to 0.36 of an inch of rainfall. The GFS more so across western Jamaica, 0.43 of an inch of rainfall. Either way, we're indeed grateful that we're going to be getting in on some amount of rainfall across the island for Sunday. We're in the month of November, we're in the final month of our rainy season, so we'll take all the rainfall that we can get before we head into the drier period from December to April. Alright, so that is it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So we do see that we indeed had some amount of isolated thunderstorm activity across sections of northern Suriname, northern Guyana, sections of Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, Belize, and the Yucatan Peninsula as usual. We also see a lot of clouds that represent that cold front across sections of the southeastern United States, sections of the Dominican Republic and Haiti. Definitely got in some amount of rainfall today. Majority of the Windward Islands are still getting in on some heavy weather. So definitely areas to the south of Guadeloupe, so Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago, and Barbados still getting in on some very heavy weather even as we speak. And if we take a look at the Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean for right now, we do see majority of the area still getting in some amount of hit or miss showers, anywhere from Guadeloupe northward. It's a section of St. John's, Codrington, so it's definitely Antigua and Barbuda getting some amount of isolated rainfall. St. Kitts, St. Martin, not so much right now, but we do see some rainfall across sections of the British Virgin Islands, sections of Puerto Rico, the Eastern Dominican Republic. And if we take a look at the Barbados radar, we can see where we have Barbados in the middle, not getting much right now, but right to the north of Barbados, right to the south of Barbados, definitely heading into sections of St. Lucia, Martinique as we speak, sections of Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago. Definitely some heavy weather for Trinidad and Tobago later on tonight. You can see those yellows and oranges that represent heavy rainfall, so they're definitely in for a wet night tonight. Taking a look at the wider view of Doppler radar images, we do see majority of the ABC Islands being passed by to the north by all of that rainfall associated with that trough. We can also see a lot of the rainfall that we mentioned across Central America, so sections of Honduras, Guatemala, the Yucatan Peninsula, Belize still getting in on some amount of rainfall. As it relates to the temperature forecast for tomorrow, this map is showing 18 on Sunday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Sunday, and we see a majority of the western hemisphere should be getting anywhere from 1 to even 4 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures. As it relates to the siren dust, majority of the western hemisphere should be in the clear, with all of the siren dust right there across the eastern portion of the main development region and Africa, as indicated by the browns that represent the siren dust. As relates to the wave forecast, we see that majority of the Caribbean should be getting in on some amount of purples. The islands in general averaging anywhere from 1 to at least 2 meter wave height, while it's the area right there to the south of Jamaica and south of Hispaniola across the open waters of the Caribbean that are going to be getting the highest wave heights of maybe 2 meter wave heights to even 6 as well. And that's because the winds are going to be strongest across those spots. The strongest winds are represented on this wind map by the yellows that represent 25 knot winds to 30 knot winds, while the rest of the Caribbean should be getting the winds coming in from the east, averaging anywhere from 15 to 20 knots, maybe even gusting to 25 knots in some spots. And we see that on both the Euro and the GFS model, so we have some amount of certainty in that prediction. As it relates to the rainfall forecast, we do see that we still have a lot of rainfall for Florida, the Bahamas, sections of western and northern Cuba, while the southern Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos, eastern Cuba, Haiti, Dominican Republic are definitely in for some amount of rainfall. Not to mention sections of Puerto Rico, maybe some isolated spots across the Leeward Islands, and especially areas to the south of the Guadeloupe going to be getting in on more isolated rainfall. So Dominica, Martinique, definitely sections of St. Lucia, Barbados, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines, Grenada. If they're not already getting it right now, they're definitely going to be getting it before 10 p.m. on a Sunday. So definitely a section of Trinidad and Tobago. Skipping ahead to the south, we do see the consensus that not much rainfall is in store for sections of Suriname or French Guiana, but definitely a section of Guyana, Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica as usual, Nicaragua, Honduras, Belize, Guatemala, and sections of the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico. And we even have some isolated shores in store for sections of El Salvador. We can also see isolated shores in store for sections of the Cayman Islands as well. I know that when both models are showing something similar like this, the chance of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.